What's up, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. My name is Kyle Smith. I am joined this week by Adam Carlson. How are you, sir?
I just lost half of what I was hearing through my headset. That's not great.
Wonderful. Perfect.
But otherwise,
man.
I am coughing quite a bit. So if I am not 100%, I apologize.
We're making it here. We might be, having a little flat tire and the battery gives out some time, but we're making it.
We are man down as well.
Yeah, Kyle West has COVID. I'm not sure if he's in the recovery yet. I know he was enough to say where he wanted to chill out this week. So send your thoughts, prayers, and good vibes over. Leave a comment on the Facebook page. We'll put up his stuff at the end if you want to shoot him a message. But he's in contact with us every day, so he's still good enough to send us a message or whatnot. But COVID's real. It's still out there, and it sucks. So we hope that you feel better, Mr. West. Sucks that you can't be here, but that's all right. It's a bye week. Not too much Vikings news to talk about. What we're going to go over where we're at now, what we have in front of us in the near future. This is episode number 498, if you can believe it. I wanted to go with a Halloween reference, and I couldn't find anything creative for the word bye. So I decided to go with Silence of the Hams because the fullback never gets enough love on this show or any show. We love you, CJ Ham. But yeah, man, bye week. The Vikings are 5-1 right now as it sits. If the playoffs were to start, Adam Carlson, could you believe it? We would be the number 2 seed, and we would be hosting the LA Rams right now if the playoffs began.
Kind of crazy to think.
It is, man. It's really weird. I have mixed emotions about this team so far. I won't call them fraudulent. I won't call them great. But this is what you expect with a Kevin O'Connell hire and a culture shift. And I firmly root the wins in that. This is
still a team in transition. Keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Because the expectation, of course, was that Green Bay would run the division this year.
Actually, let's talk about that. We'll talk about our NFC North brethren and division rivals. The Green Bay Packers look really bad, and it's amazing what happens when one star player leaves and how quickly the shoes aren't filled and the void is glaringly obvious. Devontae Adams going to Las Vegas. It's kind of crippled them on offense, and I've seen a lot of stuff. I would never rip the guy apart because I'm not like most Viking fans. I try my best to keep a level head about stuff. Aaron Rodgers is a great talent and one that we're going to miss when he's gone because he's been so good for so long. But it's no secret that he's very outspoken, kind of off the beaten path a little bit, does his own thing. Not the best leader. The Packers are 3-4. They just lost to Taylor Heineke and the Washington Commanders. They don't look good. I don't know that they're going to make the postseason at this rate. They got the Bills this weekend, which I don't expect them to win. And yeah, you're right. I fully expected the Vikings to play second fiddle this year and sneak in as a wild card, but here we are. They have a 2.5 game lead in front of Green Bay in the division and Chicago right there with them.
Derek on Facebook is talking about how Minnesota has the Cardinals coming in, and with multiplayer starting up on Call of Duty Double XP weekend, I mean, with the trends the way that goes, it's looking pretty good. But I think Kyler might be looking to dispel all that, so maybe this is the year that trend stops.
Yeah, and they are coming off a great win, the Arizona Cardinals over the Saints. That score is way closer than that game was at all, if you watched any of it. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a coaching change there if they don't make
I don't know if I've ever seen Andy be that bad.
2 back-to-back pick sixes. I said it to one of my buddies, longtime buddy. I've always promoted him on this show, James Hart of 18 Visions and Burn Halo. Shout out to those bands. But I told him, I said, it's pretty brutal. And that'd be the first NFT that I ever bought was a picture of that guy just somersaulting into the end zone. It was so bad. Oh, poor Andy Dalton. But hey, even with 2 back-to-back pick sixes, I just read it as we waited to get started on the show. The Saints are running with him because Jameis Winston, it feels too much like a liability to them. So
some player over the weekend had a lady in the crowd give him the double bird as he was going in for the touchdown. And he took that picture and we made it his profile picture over on Twitter.
It's so good. That's pretty funny. I forget what game that was from. I know what you're talking about. Seen that floating around on Twitter. It's
I
pretty
think
good.
it was from the Chargers game.
It might have been. It's Chargers Seahawks. Yeah. Jonathan, one of our regulars here, says, saw a rumor that Dalvin Cook got fined $7,000+ for throwing a ball into the stands after his 55-yard touchdown. Is there any truth to that? 100% true. He tweeted about it, kind of like The Simpsons. He put 4 will not throw a football into the stands, and he kept repeating it over and over like Bart Simpson at the chalkboard. So that's absolutely true. Saw Dalvin Cook tweet about that.
Maybe he should tweet, we'll have 100-yard game.
Yeah. Man, what a wonky season, man. He doesn't look bad, but the offense has been very hot and very cold at certain times. Derek says Kyler's still knee-deep in Call of Duty. We're winning. Yeah, Jonathan, we'll talk about that in just a little bit.
As good as Patrick Peterson's been this year, not allowing a single touchdown. I mean, D-Hop is a different animal.
I think he's still in that, and maybe, if it's a timeline where there's a bubble that says prime, I think he's right at the edge of going out of the prime, but I think he's still in his prime. He is such an elite receiver and such good hands. He's got the whole package. He's got speed. He can get separation. That catch that he made in Houston, he made a couple, and one of them didn't even count. He caught it on his backside, but there's a couple, I think it was against the Steelers. Now, one of the craziest catches I've ever seen, and the hand-eye coordination and the precision there is otherworldly. So, yeah, I would probably put some help over there to help him out. Patrick Peterson is having a great season, but I don't like that one-on-one thing at all. I don't like that idea. So let's not give him the option, I guess. That's just me. I don't know.
You know what Minnesota's doing? They're going to keep that trend of the umbrella shell coverage, which the NFL is loving that at the moment. Limits the big plays, make them beat you with consistently good play and running the football.
Jonathan says he may need to find his Twitter login again. Dude, don't get on Vikings Twitter. It's such a cesspool of negativity. It's so bad. There's so many people at the block, and it's gotten really weird. I'm not going to go into details, but I sent it to Adam this weekend. I was like, why is Vikings Twitter so odd? They just do so many weird things now. Things that'll make you scratch your head. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I pulled up the Cardinals' schedule. I don't know that they're a playoff team. They got drugged by the Chiefs week 1. They squeaked out a win in week 2 over the Raiders. They lost to the Rams, beat the Panthers, lost to Philadelphia, lost to Seattle, and they just beat New Orleans. So they look to be about a 500 team. They've still got the Rams again, Seattle 2 times with San Francisco, Tampa Bay. I don't know that they could beat New England. I don't know. I don't really trust this team to make it.
I don't know. We'll see if New England has a quarterback.
That was interesting. When you make Justin Fields look good, there's something to be said there. What an up and down. This season's been so weird so far. I feel like there's 3 good teams and the rest are just like, we'll figure it out at some point.
Speaking of that, our survival league has definitely been having some issues.
Thanks a lot, New England.
Stupid survival league. We're down to 5 people still alive.
I am not one of them. I chose the Chicago Bears to lose to the New England Patriots. I really like the Bailey Zappi train, and I thought Bill Belichick would have it under control because Justin Fields has shown me nothing in the way of consistency, and boy, was I wrong, and I am done by week 8. Week 7 was my last one. I'm sorry, guys. I won't be participating anymore with you because the rules don't let me.
15 of us are eliminated. That's 3 strikes already in 15 games, if that tells you how wild the season's been.
I thought mine were pretty winnable, too. Cleveland Browns against the Falcons, supposedly be a bottom feeder. I thought the Colts would beat the Jaguars week 1. I learned my lesson hard on that. Never trust Matt Ryan.
I am tied for the lead with my fascinating pick set with 1 strike. The rest are 1 strike away from being eliminated of the 5 of us. So this is coming down to the wire. I don't want to win, so please, you guys, don't let me win.
Who was your strike?
That's a good question.
I hate that I can already remember mine because the season
all
hasn't
3
been
of
that
yours?
long. Yeah, all 3. Yeah. There needs to be a restart to Survivor. Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to let us restart, Jonathan. I don't know that I do it either. I'm pretty over fantasy football and survival. Survival is about the only thing that sparks my interest.
My strike was week 1. I took the Broncos.
You were going to ride with Russell Wilson. Man,
I, I bought it for a minute.
What a disaster that's turned out to be. Oof. One of
And
the
ever since
corniest
then, I
humans.
stopped buying it and I started playing ultra safe and conservative. But I've taken a lot of really good teams, so it's going to get very difficult.
Well, going back to the central theme here, let me go back to the Vikings.
Central hasn't been around in a long time.
That's a good point.
But speaking of Central, man, Tampa Bay, what's going on?
You know, I follow a guy whose name I'm not going to say because it's very disgusting and perverted because it's funny and a joke. But there's a sports page he's pretty good at trolling people. Barry is his first name. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen Barry's work.
Barry is funny. He is not a Tom Brady fan in the slightest, but I'm just laughing because he said there's famous rants on this guy's page about how much he hates Tom Brady and how lucky he says he's the luckiest player in sports history. And if the season ended right now, the Bucs, as bad as they are, I live in Charlotte. I could stand out of my place of work at the airport and look and see exactly where the Panther Stadium is, 15 miles away. It's not that far. They flew all the way to Carolina to kick a field goal this weekend and lose to an XFL quarterback, which is unreal. I didn't see that happening. But even with that and the losses that they had, they would still host a playoff game today. And this season is just so weird to see Brady and Rodgers this far into a season looking kind of washed. Yeah.
I can't remember, like, off the top of my head, the last year the Packers weren't in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I don't outside of what the Aaron Rodgers injury year with the collarbone,
right?
They made the playoffs every year. I mean, that's just what they do, and they're going to have to fight to get that, and it's not going to come easy. And they're what 3 let's look here. If it has my
3-4.
Yeah, we're 7 weeks. They're 3-4. They're going to go to Buffalo this weekend. I don't have them winning that game.
I don't see it happening either. I mean, it's possible. They'd really have to click, though.
Anything's possible, sure, but they just even the guys that they've drafted that haven't been that good, they're banged up already. Randall Cobb's I think he's on IR, their first round or second round pick. I mean,
Christian Watson not quite ready.
No, just not. And Rodgers is quick to throw those guys out and leave them out in the cold and say,
do you remember how mad Vikings Twitter was when Minnesota allowed both Detroit and the Packers to trade up for receivers?
So
and now that looks fine.
Now I can say that successfully you shouldn't make that assessment until about 3 years after a person's career started in the NFL. But somebody said that today that the GM is just skating on thin ice already. He's like, the first round pick you got, it isn't even playing. And I'm like, yeah, that's called football. Injuries happen in the sport, believe it or not. Calling Lewis Cine a bust because he got hurt, which is absolutely stupid. And he's like, then you give the division rival. And then it's like, I wish I could cut people off mid-sentence like it was a real thing. I'd be like, gave the division rival what? What have either one of those receivers done? They've done nothing.
They've gotten Detroit one win.
One win. And that coach, I love that coach's grit. I love everything about his personality. He's not going to have a job after this season. There's no way. They're going to be going back again and looking for another coach.
They had the top offense in the league through like 4 or 5 weeks.
It's insane.
And they loaded up on defense. Aiden Hutchinson, who I thought was going to be a mild bust, has been very productive.
It's so bad. Green Bay looks. I mean, I took their defense in fantasy because I heard it was going to be wonderful. It's all right. I don't know what to think. It's so weird. Everything's wonky. And then you look at the Vikings and you're like, well, I'm happy that we're winning, but some of these games, like, I don't think that they outclassed Miami against a third string and a second string quarterback. They figured out a way to win, which was cool. And they seem to do it at the end of the game or in crucial moments, which is really nice. I can definitely see the confidence in a couple players from years past to now that have gone up. Like, I love Cameron Dantzler this year. I think he's played wonderful for the most part.
And we haven't even seen Andrew Booth really yet.
Yeah, and he's going to make a great impact whenever he gets to play because I watched him at Clemson. He's a scrappy player. So
oh yeah, he'll fit in well.
Be fun. Zadarius Smith was a great signing. I'm not worried at all about Daniil Hunter. I mean, it is what it is. He's healthy. That's all I can ask for.
Not enough players are really talking about Chandon Sullivan, who has been quietly good.
Yeah, he's been all right. And you needed that.
For what they're asking him to do. I mean, when you put him in that shell defense That's not really his strongest suit, but he's been playing that role, doing what's asked of him.
The safeties have been pretty good. The backups,
which is better than you can have from like remember when Captain Munnerlyn was like given a role and he was like, "That's not what I do," and he just went and did his own thing anyway.
Like first year here, he was like totally against what Zimmer was throwing out there, and then he talked about it a couple years later. He's like, "Yeah, I didn't do whatever he told me to do the first year. Good thing I had a couple years locked in on my contract." Whew. Yeah, the safeties have been good too, especially with rotational role. Like Josh Metellus had a couple of good games. Harrison Smith still looks great.
Remember when during preseason Vikings fans were calling for Metellus to be cut?
Oh yeah, I remember us talking about that on one of the episodes. Hey, you know what? I didn't know Lewisine wasn't going to be able to play. I'm glad that he didn't get cut, Josh Metellus. I like what the team is doing. I feel like it's been kind of a roller coaster. This is definitely not Kirk Cousins' best year, but I don't think
the Vikings are having very bad luck with injuries with their draft picks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I believe Ty Chandler's on IR right now as well.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh, we can talk about the roster too for a little bit because
some good news though is that the Bears got worse.
Yeah, that's a good segue because next week is the trade deadline, and you can go to the VikingAge.com. Adam writes there. There's cool stuff. We've always plugged it because he's been a writer there for many years. But I checked on your boy Adam Patrick's stuff today before we started just to click around and get some
It's
news.
an interesting piece he just put out.
I read a couple of his pieces, and veteran corner that they may be eyeing, rumors potentially. We talked about it in our chat that Vikings Twitter seems to think we're going to sign Odell Beckham. I don't think that's going to happen. Or go after another receiver. But going back to your point before we talk about the Vikings, the Chicago Bears traded defensive end Robert Quinn to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Adam and I both said it in the chat. Like, I didn't know Philadelphia needed another edge rusher, but for the value they got for him, why not?
Well, I know he's 32, so he's on that wrong side of 30.
He is. Interesting point, though. He only has 2 sacks this year, but he had 18 and a half last year.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is half shy of his personal best of 19 when he was at the Rams. Guys, he came out in the draft with Cam Newton in 2011. So, I mean, the guy's still pretty good. Now, in the COVID year, he only had 2 sacks. I think he was
pass rush is always going to be a premium.
Always. I think Philadelphia is buying in. They should. I think their GM's done a great job with that roster. But I commented, and I'm sure one of my buddies from my last airport is going to comment back. He's a huge Eagles fan. I said, "Oh man, I can't believe AJ Brown's going to leave Nashville and go get a ring with the Eagles." I'm like, the Philadelphia Eagles are not beating the Chiefs, and they're definitely not beating the Bills. I hate to break it to you. There's no way. I don't see it happening. I will say this, and I hate to sit at Philadelphia forever and always after that NFC Championship loss. They're the best team in the NFC, and I don't think it's
at the moment. I think they are, yeah.
Yeah,
and it's not that a lot of the teams on top of the power rankings from the NFC have not really had a statement game or any really big wins. Mm-hmm. I was trying to talk about this in our chat a little while ago. It's like the Giants haven't really beaten anybody other than Green Bay, and Green Bay hasn't been much of a challenge for a lot of teams recently. The Eagles have beaten Minnesota and Dallas, which, sure.
They're a playoff team. They've beaten they haven't played, I believe, the Rams or the Bucks, but they have beaten Minnesota, who's the number 2 seed right now. They've beaten Dallas.
But who has Minnesota beaten? Teddy Bridgewater?
The Justin Fields. Jared Goff and the Lions. Like, there's not a staple win, but
no,
it's one of those things where you just have to beat whoever's in front of you. And if the Vikings
game has been way too close.
Yeah, if the Vikings can just do enough, they could win 12 games this year. And I'm putting that in there because there'll be a hiccup somewhere, I'm sure. There'll be a frustrating loss, but they're on pace to do very well, and I hope that they continue to figure it out. Andrew, what's up, man? Thank you for joining us. Jonathan in here showing support. Mike in here talking earlier, so the Vikings climb at the power rankings. Yeah, they were like top 5 which is crazy. That's that was wild to see. It's only halfway through the year after this week, but I'm excited to see where they end up. They're going to have some tests going forward, and I'll talk a little bit about the later schedule. But as of right now, they have two very winnable games. I'm not saying that they're going to be blowouts, but I believe they can beat the Cardinals in Minnesota. I believe they can go to Washington and put up a fight and beat the Commanders. But yeah, it's going to be tough sledding starting in the middle of November at Buffalo. Dallas will not be easy. New England will not be easy. I'm sorry. Only one. Oh, they had a 3-game home stretch. I forgot about that. So Buffalo, November 13th. That's in Buffalo. Then 3 home games. Dallas, New England, and the Jets. The Jets are a surprising 4-2, and they
just lost Breece Hall.
They did. They traded for the running back out of Jacksonville, which
James
is a good
Robinson
move.
is in.
But let's talk about the Jets for a second. I heard this, Adam, and I don't know. I think you're a lot more football smart than I am, so I'm going to ask you because I've never heard of this. But with the new stuff with London, teams get a say in when they get a bye week, and I think I was told that they get a say in who they play after. Is that true? Have you heard that?
I have not heard that.
Someone mentioned that to me earlier this week, and it was funny because the Packers wanted to play the Jets, and the Jets beat the shit out of them, which was hilarious. Their amazing cornerback, Sauce Gardner, was walking around Lambeau in a cheese hat, which I thought was amazingly disrespectful, and I loved it. But yeah, these are going to be the tough games, and it's going to get tougher in November or whatever, but they have a pretty winnable stretch at the end. Some people would argue, but I don't think so. Detroit, home against Indianapolis, home against the Giants. Then, of course, you round it out with Green Bay and Chicago on the road, but you've already beaten both of those teams. Why not? I mean, I've seen this Vikings team win in Green Bay before, so it's not that shocking. But I really worry about that stretch of 1, 2, 3, 4 from November 13th to December 4th. Those are going to be tough games. The Bills.
The holiday game against the Pats is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, that's a short turnaround, too. That's only 4 days after the Dallas game on Sunday. And that'll be a Thursday night game. November 24th, right before Thanksgiving. So prime time. But that's the only other primetime game scheduled, which we love. They could flex those, but against New England. New England's a beatable team. It's going to be tough. But focusing on where they're at now.
Andrew, that is correct. They were given the option of having, I believe it was a week 4 bye, but chose to wait until closer to the middle of the season.
Smart move, I believe. So here I'm looking. Yeah. 5-1. Green Bay, Detroit, New Orleans. I forgot about the New Orleans game. That's so crazy. Chicago and Miami wins. Lost to Philadelphia. Yeah, this is a winnable game. DeAndre Hopkins kind of scares me. I don't see the running threat there very much, but they do have a very aggressive defense. So I don't like that for Kirk Cousins. Hopefully they have a good protection package in for him.
If the Cardinals get Connor back for this game, it could be a little rough.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that he was out. Good point here. We've seen this in the past. I just hope the Vikings ball out after this bye and quit playing down to our opponents. I also believe, too, for this year, Jonathan, I think it's just a learning curve. Yet again, there's another new system. There's another new coach, a new offensive coordinator. I think they're doing pretty well, all things considered, if your only loss so far is to the top of the conference, Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll see. Did you mean to type that, Andrew? Cards are going to test our secondary. I like that. That's a good pun. These close games are not helping my confidence with them. You know, Jonathan, I agree with you there, but this is in the last 2 seasons before this one, these are the games that we lose. So I'm telling you, man, that culture shift, couldn't believe it, but I can go with it now.
See Caleb Evans, who's on Twitter talking about how much he loves the culture of the Vikings.
I didn't see that particular tweet or post, but I follow him, and he is so grateful to be with the team, and he is so involved in social media to be like, hey, Viking fans, but I love a player that loves to be here. He is very, very cool to the fans. Yeah, trade deadline's coming up. We talked about NFC North trades today. That came out. It was kind of random.
Are there any major needs you think this team needs to address in a trade before the deadline?
It depends on a value. I wanted to say tight end, but I think we can make do. There was rumors of us linked to Mike Gesicki from the Dolphins. I wouldn't hate that trade. I don't think that it's a necessity.
I've heard minor Noah Fant rumblings.
Noah Fant's good. That would be. I would very much like that trade. He was a high draft choice.
But I think that Irv is finally stepping into his own a little bit. At this point, I would not mind seeing Irv stick around with a almost minimum extension if possible.
Yeah, the biggest thing
now
about
that he's healthy, he's playing well. He's a nice third option.
Yeah, I like Irv. Obviously, the biggest concern is can you stay healthy? And if he does this season, that's a good step in the right direction. But those injuries scare me a little bit. I don't think it's anything to where I'm like, we got to go trade for someone right now.
Because you can say the same things about Irv as you do about Daniil Hunter, who is having a bit of a down year himself.
For sure. Now, obviously, we know the ceiling between those two are completely different because Daniil's been one of the best. But if you're not here, you're not here. And to that point, I can't really argue. I'm glad they're both healthy.
About the tub.
What's that?
You can't make the club in the tub.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fun saying. I haven't heard that in a long time. Needs of the Vikings could go. I mean, I saw with the Viking Age with Adam Patrick's article that you could link us to one of the Denver corners. I've never personally heard him. Like, he's not a household name, but I'm never opposed to us going to grabbing another corner, like ever. I have been on the train since this offseason to say that we could start looking for Adam Thielen's replacement. Does that mean he comes in immediately and replaces him? No. I'm always okay with adding another pass catcher.
Is Bashad Breeland a free agent?
Bashad Breeland. If he's still tweeting about himself in the third person, we should go ask.
About his junk?
Oh, God, what a terrible. Which is crazy because I watched him last year, that Carolina game, very first play of the game. He makes an interception. I'm like, why are you the way that you are? Andrew says he would take Kyle Rudolph back for tight end depth. I do like Irv better than him, though. I just don't know that Kyle Rudolph has anything left for anyone. After that year with the Giants, and I know Daniel Jones was pretty bad that year, I don't know. 26 sacks, barely more than Barr. Oh, my God. Barr's only had 26 snaps? God, yeah, that's sad. All those guys that were a staple and a starter on the team just having a shell of themselves in new places, which sucks for him. I'm sure he was excited to play with Tom Brady, Kyle Rudolph, but not having the best year either. But to answer your question, man, no, I think a corner would be cool. I'm not saying we need one, but if I had to.
A center, maybe?
If there's one out there that you could find, I don't know. That's the thing. I wonder what obviously they would never tell anyone, but I wonder what their board says and who they're close to looking for, because essentially everybody but quarterback is pretty much on the market you could go get. But I want to know what their priority is. And I don't see this team being the one to be like, I'll shell out, like San Francisco just did with Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to throw out a couple of picks in consecutive rounds for this person. Like, I just don't see them being like that. They're very efficient with their draft capital, so I'm not sure.
It does look like the Vikings have found their offensive tackles for the future.
Yes.
Darisaw is playing quite well. And Brian O'Neill is good.
Brian O'Neill. Very solid. Love him. Yeah, we have to address this. Mike brought it up. I think Jonathan did too. Lineman got arrested. Was he a starter? No, it was Oli Udoh. He's a rotational person for our team at guard.
Now, Udoh's representatives have released statements that he will not be actually brought in because statements will be made to clear him. So we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out, because right now it doesn't even sound like it might even be a thing.
Yeah, it started out for allegations, and I don't think it escalated anything. Did he get arrested?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was arrested.
Posted
bail. So if he's not tried or if he's not charged, then it'll just be an arrest with the charge dropped. It sounds like that's the direction that this is going, like Adam was saying. I hate Chris Thompson with a passion, and I hope that he hears that from everyone. He's a cringeworthy human most of the time. Sometimes he's funny, but most of the time he's kind of a dickhead. But he posted something today. It looked like some weird number you would get spam text from, but apparently it was him saying, "Hey, look, the whole situation was completely misreported, and Ole's going to be cleared. There are going to be statements written, like Adam said." Everything should be good, and I don't want to say swept under the rug because the allegations were pretty bad, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like anything's going to come of this as of right now, so hopefully not. We don't need that again. We don't need any distractions. Certainly not of what he was accused of doing. Kind of stalking, predatory stuff, which is really creepy, but I'm not going to go and say he did that because it sounds like it's going to get handled. I just hope it's not one of those where you settle out of court and make people quiet. But
right.
Yeah, it sounds like a little bit of a miscommunication, misunderstanding kind of deal. I've never heard anything negative about the guy before that, so I'm hoping that that's just kind of some weird circumstance. But who knows? That did happen. That's the only news that I could do, and I wasn't gonna name the show after it and lead with that because it's obviously not good. But
I'll be honest, Jonathan, I don't watch a lot of college football, so I don't know what prospects on the rise to watch.
Hey, it's a good plug.
Drafts.
I'll put it right here. We don't have much more to talk about anyways because it's the bye week. But if you go to the Viking Age, Jonathan, I promote for Adam Carlson. Always click on his articles and engage in the comments section there so you can boost his numbers and pay his bills.
Undead Walking is no longer on there. I was not feeling well. I did not write an article over there, and I guess I timed out. So now I'm over on the Viking Age almost exclusively.
All right. I'll make sure to edit that later. But Jonathan,
that is my baby of a website. I did create it, so
nice.
It does still have a place in my heart.
Speaking of the Viking Age, for Jonathan to answer your question, if you go on and check out the Viking Age, Adam Patrick has a bunch of articles written. They go in consecutive order for time, so it'll go chronologically or whatever. You can see up there, it'll tell you some draft choices that we might be interested in. One that I thought was interesting was a cornerback from Penn State. It would feel like 8 out of the last 9 years we've taken a fucking corner in the first round. Like, it just seems like we can't hit on a corner even though we take them all the time. But there were some other options as well: wide receiver, pass rusher, tight end. So you could check that out.
I do want to shout out quickly Adam Patrick just for his patience with me while I was getting better and recovering, because he was awesome. Very patient and awesome. His work, he might not be as well versed in Vikings history, but he's definitely knowledgeable when it comes to the current Vikings climate. And he gets called out a lot for not knowing a lot of the team's history. But I mean, a lot of Vikings fans hopped on the bandwagon with Randy Moss. So it's not like it's out of the ordinary that people not know a lot about what players were here for the 69 championship season and things like that.
I'm one of them. I can't say anything. I jumped on this team when I joined the military. Like
I just learned about Clint Jones.
I have no idea who that person is, and it's blasphemy in here, I'm sure, but there we go. We're honest here on the podcast. I give Adam some props too. When I first initially read his stuff, I almost was just like instantly like, nope, I hate this guy. But the more I see the stuff that he's pushing out, knowing that a lot of it's going to ruffle some feathers, like, I respect it, man. I'm glad that he gave you some time to heal and do all that fun stuff to recover.
Yeah, that was scary for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure. He said Adam's more positive these days. Yeah, it'll come in waves. You just got to understand like the goal of it all. I thought he was just trolling us for a long time, but I understand what he's doing. He's doing some good stuff over there. Everybody in the Viking Age.
He knows what people will click on, and I struggle with that at times, because what I find interesting isn't the stuff that a lot of other people find interesting.
Right.
Like, I probably wouldn't write an article about, the Vikings should sign Odell, but I would write an article about, Vikings donate to Girls and Boys Club charity. I would write that. Right. And I used to when I was solely in charge of the site, and those articles did not get views people did not give one lick of care about that.
That's frustrating too, because there's so many variables and angles that you can take when you're writing for stuff like that. And I hate to do like the Walmart thing where you just slap a brand on and then you just put it on literally everything, but it's not just football. I mean, obviously that's why we're here, but Vikings do a lot of other things, which is cool. And that's one thing I liked about your articles, where you'll talk about volunteering in the community or talk about legends and what they're up to. Or
like the Vikings annual school build.
That's cool.
They do a playground every year for a school.
And you know where I first learned about that? From you on this show. Many years ago when we were recording on Skype and then posting it later. Here we go. Jonathan says, I've said it before. I'll say it again. No Odell. I don't think they're going to sign Odell Beckham. He's a Buffalo Bill in my eyes. He's going to chase a ring, and I don't know how they would work it, but as much as we say Rob Brzezinski is the cap god and the cap is a myth, they don't have any money. They would have to go midseason and ask somebody to restructure, and I just don't think, or you're going to have to cut somebody decent to make room, and it's like, do you want to do that? I think the team is great where they are. I would love to have Odell
go to KC since Kelsey just restructured.
Yeah, there were hints of that on their podcast with him and his brother. That was funny. But I mean, I would love to have Odell on the team. I think he was well on his way before tearing an ACL to winning the MVP of the Super Bowl. I 100% believe that. Everyone was focusing on Cooper Kupp so much that he was wide open and he was great, but injury, he's getting older, and money, I don't know how much he's going to fetch, but I don't think that Minnesota fits what he's looking for. I mean, he went from New York to Los Angeles. I mean, he's a big city dude.
Yeah, if he wants a major target share, he's not going to get that in Minnesota.
You'll become even more of a household name with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, though. So or the Chargers, he could go back to LA and play. They need, God knows,
with Mike Williams going down.
Oh, they need all the help they can get. My poor brother is a Chargers fan, and
they lost one of their top corners too.
He was telling me today, he called me on the way to work. He's like, dude, we're throwing to a practice squad guy. He's like, Keenan Allen comes back, but it's literally the next guy up is from the practice squad. He's like, there's so much range in between the talent. Go get Odell, dude. He's out there. Yeah, Mike, I was talking about this earlier. I don't know if you saw it on the show. Cam Dantzler been showing up. This is my favorite year of his so far. He's progressively gotten better, but I see a lot of confidence in him this year. I'm very happy with that. Andrew showing love for Adam. I love that.
I love that. One of the best things you can do is, turn your ad blocker off and take a quick look. You write like a little comment, something that you think people might even reply to keep a comment chain going so people keep coming back. That's one of the best things you can do.
I should have said that. I should say, go on Adam's articles on the Viking Age and just say the most outlandish thing that'll piss people off, and then it'll just start a war. I love that. Odell to Seattle. I don't know. I don't think he wants to go there. Looks like they're gonna make the playoffs because all had.
I don't know. DK now. He's hurt too. The bug is going around, and Minnesota's been avoiding it.
Yeah, so far so good. I love that we're having Odell Beckham talk here on the Vikings podcast here. That's so good. He says they'll sign when the playoffs start. I mean, that would make sense too because he did get injured in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, he literally tore his ACL in February, and it's only October, almost November. So he's probably not quite ready to go yet. That would make sense. Reminds me of who did the Rams? Yeah, last year they won. They signed Eric Weddle for like 3 games, and he won a ring. That's funny. And go get it if you can.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame anybody.
But yeah, sorry, this is kind of a dry episode. There's not a lot to talk about. The one thing that was kind of negative, but the Vikings will play Arizona. It's a 1:00 game if you're on the East Coast like myself. Hosting Arizona, so that's good. They're coming off a bye, so we should have some more fresh bodies. It should be rested. There's some cool videos up on the Vikings YouTube channel. They talked to Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins about this team they're going to face, what they did in the bye week, and yeah, let's see if they can get over the hump, man.
What is your favorite like regular thing over on Vikings.com? Is it the mailbag, which I think we all kind of are a little sour on? Is it the big head mode pictures? You guys like those?
No, my favorite, and I love him, and I love that they have chosen to go younger. I like that Ben Lieber is still with the team. He's not my favorite reporter, but I like that he still is involved with the team because he obviously loved being here. I like Gabe Henderson, man. I think he's fair. I like some of the stuff they did recently, like with CJ Ham, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, talking about personal stuff. And they have a female reporter that they just hired. I think she's kind of new. She's really cool too. She's very bubbly. She's got to travel over to like Good Morning Football and
Oh yeah,
do some cool things. I like the young faces they have over there. That's probably my favorite thing about Vikings. Like I like too with Gabe. Shout out to Gabe Henderson. He works for the Vikings. I really like that he does the thing where he'll take a player or a coach around in the golf cart and ask him questions. He was doing that during training camp. I thought that was pretty cool. Something different instead of just sitting in a chair and
right.
some of those guys just spewing out automated crap like an answering machine.
But it's nice how they're getting accessibility to a lot of players through as many different means as possible to try to get you to see a different side of players. Like when they were giving them riddles every day during training camp and stuff like that. I thought that was a lot of fun. And even when they do like the mic'd up, they share that.
Mic'd up is always fun. It's just funny because, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but you can see how much like how youthful and how much of a little kid really lives inside of all these players. Because ultimately, this is a game. They're getting paid lots and lots of money to play a game professionally. But you see them just doing like I love like the old macho shit that goes on there where they're just throwing like dapping people up and like, let's go, boy, let's go. And then they, like they get emotional when good things happen. I love seeing that come out because for every troll on the internet, it's like, oh, you make all this money and blah, blah, blah. Like they're invested. This is their entire life. So I like seeing that human side of it too. That's a cool part of the mic'd up thing I like. Oh, Wes, I'm going to put your comment up in a minute. Jonathan, can we spam comments on Adam Carlson's articles to give him credit? Yes, absolutely. Like I said, and I'm telling you, I mean this in the nicest way. Go on all of his articles at thevikingage.com and type the most ridiculous shit you've ever said, like Christian Ponder should be in the Hall of Fame or something like that. And watch the comments just flood. They're like, this guy's trolling, or say something that's not popular, and let it build, because the more engagement he gets, the better it is for his bank account. It's good.
It's true.
Wes wanted us to answer this. Not Vikings related, but I have to ask, what do you guys think about Aaron Rodgers right now? What he's throwing everyone under the bus, taking no blame. If I was a receiver looking to get traded, I definitely want to play with that jerk. He commented down here.
Now, he's an interesting guy, but I think a lot of what he says is still getting taken so out of context. Mm-hmm. Like the last thing that I read from him was there was a headline where it says, Aaron Rodgers slams Packer fans. And the way that he said that on the Pat McAfee show was not intended that way whatsoever.
Right. I like Aaron Rodgers, and I think that most of the league, watching him play for so long, if they're a receiver, like a veteran receiver, even the rookie, let's say it's like a Michael Pittman or a Chase Claypool, they would be stoked because their current situation sucks. Like, I wouldn't want Sam Ehlinger and the ghost of Matt Ryan or Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett throwing to me. Like, that sucks, man. Aaron Rodgers throwing me the ball? Absolutely. But the pressure is going to come, in my opinion, to play for this guy because he's going to demand perfection. Right. And I think for the most part in his career, this is one of the worst seasons he's had so far to start. But
Aaron Jones is probably his best receiver.
That's tough, man. Or Tanyan, the guy he made famous like last year. Like, come on. You can't rely on the big tight end or running back to lead receiving. But, I mean, the guy's been otherworldly his entire career. I would love that. But, yeah, if I'm a younger guy, I would feel the pressure of it because he's going to demand perfection. But, I mean, ask any of the guys in New England how Tom Brady was to him. He was a dick to him. He's like, you have to be good, and we're going to run it 5,000. Peyton Manning was the same way. He would go out and say, we're going to do this 1,000 times, and we're going to do it perfect every time. And if you don't, we'll run it again. So, like, I think they would be happy. But I understand your point, man. I respect Aaron more the more and more older he gets. I may not agree with everything that he believes in or does, but I respect the hell out of a guy who stands by what he believes in, and he is who he is, which I have called on the show. He is turning into Brett Favre. He might not want to hear that, but he's turning into Brett Favre.
Well, I do remember how when Brett Favre was supposed to be handing things off to Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre was like, "It isn't my job to train him."
And same thing with Jordan Love. He's respectable to Jordan Love, but he's not worried about him. He's not helping him. Same thing Ben Roethlisberger said. He's like, I'm not here to, I'm like, I guess mentor these guys. Like, yeah, we'll talk about film, but he's like, I'm not the quarterback's coach. That's not my job. I don't know. I could go into that really because I like Aaron Rodgers other than the fact that he's a Packer.
He's a massive talent. He's got an amazing arm.
Wild. The individual stats that he has, like that, he had the streak for the longest time of not throwing a pick. Dude, that's hard in this league with how many good defenders there are. But I think he's fallen out of love with football slowly but surely. And I don't see him unless he gets traded to like the perfect scenario, like, oh my God, I finally get to play with Kyle Shanahan or something like that. You know, I don't see him playing much longer, maybe one more year after this. But also I blame Green Bay. If we're going on a rant here, you got to draft a wide receiver in the first round. He's been asking for that for 3 years now, and they're like, go fuck yourself. So I don't know, man. That's kind of my long-winded answer on it. Let's see what
do you think he's going to have like an office job or an analyst job after football, or do you think he's like, made for? Is he dead set on Jeopardy, or what's?
I don't want to see him on Jeopardy, even though I think it'd be cool if he fills in every once in a while. But he's made for television. He's got all the experience. I don't know. I hate to say this and speak for the guy because I don't know him. I'd love to interview him. I'd love to talk.
Well, we've seen a lot of football personalities go and have talk shows or things like that.
Correct, and he does the McAfee thing, which is really cool that he dedicates every Tuesday. I think he probably feels, and this is just me watching on the outside in. I don't think the Tony Romo gig is his bag.
No,
I think he probably feels a little bit. I don't want to say above because I don't think he's snooty, but I just don't think that's his thing. But I don't know, dude. He's one of the ones that's kind of an anomaly to me. He could go out on Dancing with the Stars, even though that's where like has-beens go to try to revive a career and be relevant again. He could go do a thing with Bear Grylls for a weekend because he likes to go out in nature and do. I don't know what he's going to do, but I don't feel that same spark. And it's really weird saying this because he just won the MVP. But
back-to-back MVPs.
Man, how the time changes so fast when you lose, an all-pro wide receiver and you're just out here trying to make it work with the second and third string, I guess. I don't know.
It's like trying to stay in a relationship where there's just no spark anymore.
It's tough. And for as good, and they paid him handsomely as he deserves every penny. But like I said, they also he's been bitching for 3 years. I need a first round wide receiver, and they didn't do it. And now Devontae left, and had they done that, and they'd found a Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, whomever, they'd be in a better spot now. But we can dissect them on another.
Christian Watson ain't quite it right now at the moment, anyway.
And that's not fair to him either. That's so not fair.
And the kid does have talent. I mean,
yeah,
I know
for sure.
The one thing that people remember him for is dropping that for sure touchdown in week 1. That's the only thing people really remember from him. But he's been slowly climbing his way back in.
I feel like they'll be scrappy. They had a tough schedule too. I mean, they're playing all the teams we're playing too. They got to play the AFC East, the NFC East. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. Have they played the Eagles yet?
I'm not sure.
They're going to have to. I know that for sure. I'm clicking on their stuff right now. This is funny. We were talking about commenting.
I don't think they've played the Dolphins yet either. And the Dolphins are a different animal with Tua.
They are, and they're a tough team. They're a very tough team. They're at the Eagles on Sunday Night Football on November 27th. That schedule's not looking good for them either. It's not good. At the Bills, Cowboys will be tough. Titans will be tough. Eagles will be tough. I don't know about the Rams. That's in Green Bay. At the Dolphins on Christmas. I mean,
the Rams are really struggling to find their identity this year. Which is weird to say for a team coming off a Super Bowl win, It's funny. Even the Bengals don't quite always look like the Bengals.
Yeah. It's funny too. I mentioned at the earlier part of the show that if the playoffs started right now, the Vikings would host the Rams. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, this is from that comment earlier talking about go comment crazy stuff. Ponder should be in the best spouse Hall of Fame. He did win in that department. He sure did. Andrew says Rodgers' personality is a little tough for TV. He's much less of a jerk the last few years. Yeah, he's an open-minded guy. I mean, like I said, you don't have to agree with everything, especially like he leans conservative, even though he doesn't say that, going on Joe Rogan and stuff. But I commend the guy for having the balls to stick up for something that he believes in. Especially when you have a platform like that, dude, you're a major celebrity. It's not even that you're an athlete, you're a celebrity because you've won a Super Bowl, MVPs. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame ASAP. So,
oh yeah,
I like that he's showing sides of and not afraid to take risks like the Hyuska or whatever it's called. Who cares, man? Like, I think that's cool that you explored that, but that is also something that you don't see like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning doing,
or at least talking about.
Yeah, and being that open and just he's that California, upbringing, whatever, that stuff's coming out hard now. He's like, yeah, I did this and I went and chilled with some waterfalls and friends over in the off season. Like, I think he knows like he's already made all the money he needs. He's won it. He's got all the accolades. So at this point, it's just if you can pull out another ring, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen right now. John, what's up, dude? It'll be even better when he retires in the pack draft round one. Receiver for love. God, that's funny. That's a good one. It wouldn't. Mike, Gronk tight end for Vikes. No, he's retired. He's not coming back. And I don't think, and this is no shot at Cousins, but I don't think he would come out of retirement for Kirk Cousins. I don't think so. Well, this is cool, man. You guys have had some good questions tonight.
It's been fun.
I cannot believe we're at 52 minutes because I felt like we have talked about absolutely nothing, but stay tuned. Last year came off of a heartbreaking week 2 loss to the Cardinals in Arizona. I can't say this team got worse, but I'm certainly not excited for DeAndre Hopkins coming back because he looks like he hasn't missed a beat.
Can the Vikings finally be good after a bye week?
I think they can. I think this coaching staff can get them there. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those weird nail-biter games, but on paper, the Vikings should win this game. It's a 1:00 home game. That's where they thrive. And I really want this defense to just go off and make Kyler Murray look awful. So that's my hope. I hope Kirk Cousins throws 5 touchdowns because I'm currently losing my bet that I made about Daniel Jones and Kirk Cousins this year, and I'm so fucking mad about that. The one year I make a bet for Kirk Cousins, the QBR is substantially different, which pisses me off, by the way. Adam and I were talking about this. 3 straight games, this kid did not throw a touchdown. And for one of those games, he threw for 71 yards. I don't know how you get a better quarterback rating when you're not throwing the damn ball, but we all know that Daniel Jones is not better than Kirk Cousins.
We did the Survival League update at the very beginning. 5 of us left.
I would be one of those.
Scary.
I'm out. Thanks a lot, Chicago, for beating New England. Jerks. I had no faith in Justin Fields, and then he actually looked good for a game. So, yeah, we'll keep you updated. Adam said he and another person only have 1 strike.
Yep.
So we really hope that.
And the other 3 have 2 strikes.
It's going to be tough sledding. It's going to be tough, guys.
Please, please, please don't let me win. Unless Smith's buying my gift for the win.
I'll buy your gift. I will always hold up my end of the bargain on that.
I've always wanted a Vikings full-size helmet. Always wanted one.
Could definitely make that happen. Mike, thank you for commenting, man. You had really good questions and input tonight. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks.
Scroll to you.
Thanks, Mike and Andrew and everybody there in chat.
Jonathan and Charlotte, Wes, Andrew, John Young, my homie. Thank y'all. I'm going to plug some stuff, and we're going to get out of here. Kyle West cannot be with us tonight. He is still under the weather, but he's doing good. He's been interacting with us in the chat, so we know he's alive. Thank God. Speedy recovery to you, Wes. We'll see you next week, hopefully. Go check out his stuff. You can buy his merch and stuff here. He has pictures for sale. You can put them on everything, hats, shirts, mouse pads, cell phone cases, shower curtains. I mean, the list goes on and on. They also have Purple People Podcasts merch here, which I will be buying the winner of the Survival League a shirt and or hoodie of their color, size of choice, whatever they want. Check out his stuff. Go bother him on social media if you want to tell him to get well. He is on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, speedy recovery to West. If you want to bug Adam Carlson, this is his stuff here. He and I do horror movie reviews on his channel. We just did the most recent Halloween movie, Halloween Ends. I think the next one up that we agreed on was Hellraiser, so we'll be doing that soon.
I've already watched it. Waiting on Smith on this one.
We'll definitely get that up soon. This is all his socials.
Yeah. Lots of great horror movies and shows coming out right now, so it's a lot of fun. I'm in Viking Zombie on everything. Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, everything. The Viking Age is where you can catch my work. If I can get my mind into the process here, I'll have an article out in the morning over on the Viking Age, so it'll be looking at the current state of the NFC North, which should be kind of fun.
2.5 game lead, baby. We'll take it. Andrew says he has a good prize picked out for the winner. I hope it's Adam. You're going to send a prize? Damn, Andrew. I want to put my bid back in. I didn't know that. That's why I lost. I didn't know there were going to be multiple prizes. That's cool, man. This is my stuff. I'm most active on Instagram. Twitter is a close second now.
You're most active at bars with a guitar.
I just booked yesterday. If you're in the Charlotte area, my hometown of Gastonia is just to the west. I'll be at the Peter Wheel in 3 weeks from today. Closing it out for the year there. I don't know that I have another show booked for the rest of the year. I have already booked 3 shows for 2023, so I'll have those posted. But if you want to see goofy stuff I post in my stories or music stuff or dog stuff, Instagram and Twitter is where that's at. Come say hello. We can be friends. No game, balls, and donkeys. I have the banner here, but we don't have anything because there was no game. So I'm excited for Viking football this Sunday. I have my Sundays off for now, so I will be tuning in and watching every second. So
excellent.
Good luck to everyone in the Survival League that still won. Good luck to the Vikings Sunday. I'm excited for this game. I hate bye weeks, so hopefully they'll get it done. Adam?
I'm here. Sorry, I was looking at my prescriptions.
No, you're good. I didn't want to steal your thunder.
I'd appreciate it if you would, because my throat's hurting me.
Well, I'm going to steal Adam's famous line on this show. Thank you, everyone, in the comments. Really, truly, we mean it. You helped keep it afloat this episode. I know it was dry, but we'll recap this Arizona game pretty shortly after, and we will see you then. Until then, stay safe and stay classy, Minnesota.